Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to HG Radio, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration. Here is your co-founder and host, Kim Becker.
Hello, gorgeous, and thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Kim Becker, and this is Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Our guest today is Susan KERBER. Susan is a former marketing and business development leader who turned her skills to the nonprofit sector more than 2 years ago when she agreed to develop Caring Bridge's partnership and outreach efforts. Susan develops relationships with healthcare and health-focused organizations to help Caring Bridge fulfill its vision that no one goes through a health journey alone. Her colleagues would describe her as someone who is passionate, generous, and a tireless advocate and consummate professional devoted to enhancing connections for those that are isolated. She, however, would say that she is doing what needs to be done to ease the burden and stress for families. Susan looks forward to sharing the Caring Bridge story and the role that the organization plays in the lives of families who use the service. Caring Bridge is a global nonprofit social network that provides free personal websites to families on a health journey. Hi, Susan, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. What a lovely introduction, and I'm delighted to be here today.
Well, I'm excited to be able to connect with you. It's funny, you have those relationships, right, that you talk about all the time, and so you just assume that people will know who you are because you talk about them constantly. We promote your organization to so many of the women that we serve because it is such an amazing tool. As I'm sure you know, people get tired of talking about their disease. They just get tired of talking. They want everybody just to know what's going on and to not have to say another word about cancer, at least in our situation. And so when I discovered Caring Bridge, we shared this tool with so many of the women that we serve because it gave them an outlet, number one, because it was kind of like an online journal, but also then they were able to invite people that they wanted to hear more about their journey through what you guys provide. So again, I'm excited to learn more about you and more about the organization because we certainly have a very similar passion to help people who are ill. So tell me a little bit about what actually does Caring Bridge do? Kind of give me that in a nutshell.
Sure, and I'll just add on what you've already said. You mentioned that we're the largest nonprofit social network dedicated to health and that we offer free patient, and family-centered websites. And really the purpose of Caring Bridge is to connect patients and families during that health crisis treatment and recovery. So everyone is together and the patient feels, that sort of sense of belonging and purpose with their life and feeling as though their friends and family are really coming together with them on their health journey to help them and to offer them a way forward in terms of, support messages on Caring Bridge.
And what I love too is the fact that you create almost like a private environment for them as well. Social media is so big right now. They could put it on Facebook, but then everybody and their brother sees it. And what you've been able to do is that they can use this journal as an online outlet, but then they get to pick and choose kind of who reads that information.
Yes, they do. The good thing about Caring Bridge, unlike some of the other social media tools, is we do not sell advertising, and sites can be easily personalized with photos, videos, and you can even name your site. And then we also offer the customizable privacy settings, so your site can be as private or as public as you want it to be, which means you can, one, only invite those close family members and friends, or you can also include your Caring Bridge community, or also include your social media friends. And the beauty of our site settings is that you can toggle back and forth between the three. So maybe you're not sure right away with you starting out with your Caring Bridge website, and you only want to invite a few close family friends. But over time, you might want to share your story more widely and include your Caring Bridge community or include your social media friends as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love, because you've empowered these individuals to share as much as they want with as many people as they want, or as little as they want with as few people as they want. So you've really given them the control, which I love that site even more. It's just wonderful.
Thank
So
you. We really
go ahead.
have given them the control. In fact, we don't sell any of their data either, which is another point of differentiation to Caring Bridge from other social media sites. And the other thing is that Caring Bridge is really all about the patient or family caregiver, and other social media is not. So on those sites, there's always a lot of extraneous content. We're just totally focused on your journey and your family and friends and visitors responding either by using the heart amplifier, which is the same as a like feature, because not everybody knows what to say to somebody on a health journey.
That's right.
And, that patient just needs to know that you're out there thinking about them. So there's a beautiful little heart amplifier that will pop up and let the patient know that someone is thinking about them, and your name will be identified. And then, you can also send them as a visitor photos and videos. It's just a great way to lift someone's spirits and let them know that you're thinking about them. And then you can also comment with love and support for patients, what they're going through. Generally doesn't have to be long messages either, unless that's your preference. It could be quick updates to let everyone know how your day went, what the doctor said, and what comes next.
Well, and again, I didn't think about that, but really what you've done is you've allowed that support system to be there for the person that's going through this, because you're right. A lot of times people don't know what to say. We have found this to be true in our situations with the women that we serve, and that is that when people don't know what to say, they say nothing and stay away. So if you've given them, which you have through Caring Bridge, you've actually given them a platform where they can just show a heart. They could just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. There doesn't have to be any awkward silence or anything because of the platform that you've set up. So it's not only to even empower just the patient, but you empower the people that want to support them. You've given them a platform to be able to do so.
You're absolutely right. And from my own personal experience, I lost a dear friend to ovarian cancer before Caring Bridge was in the marketplace. Caring Bridge started in 1997. And I, as a friend, especially as my good friend got closer and closer to hospice, I felt totally isolated because I really had no way to check in with her unless I got in my car and drove over to her house. And then it was, is this a comfortable time to visit? And oftentimes it wasn't. So from my personal standpoint, I just really appreciate Caring Bridge and know the value that it can bring not only to the patient, but to family and friends as well.
That's right. And so I hate to even have to ask this, but I don't know. How did Caring Bridge even start?
Sure. And before I get into that, I just want to mention, because since we are a social media tool, oftentimes people wonder, well, is it tough to get it started? And really, it only takes about 2 or 3 minutes to create a Caring Bridge website.
That's great.
And we have a live customer care team standing by and a chat forum. So if there's any issues, there's always someone to reach out to help you get started.
That's wonderful.
And then in terms of how we started, it's a lovely story. Caring Bridge was really started out of love by our founder, Sana Mary, for her dear friends, Joanne and Darren, who experienced serious complications with their premature baby. They asked Sana to communicate to family and friends on the progress of the baby, which she did for a few days, but found herself emotionally and physically exhausted from reaching out to everyone and trying to share the same information to keep everyone informed. Now, this was the early days, so this was 1997. So this really, predated all of social media.
Yeah.
So we're the first social media site out there. After several days of Sana trying to keep everybody connected and having a technology background, she went down to the basement of her home in Eagan, Minnesota, which is where we are still headquartered, and she created the first Caring Bridge website for baby Bridget. Though baby Bridget passed after 9 short days, her legacy lives on with her website, Caring for Baby Bridget. And the name Caring Bridge grew organically from that first website. And Joanne and Darren have stayed friends of Caring Bridge all these years, and we honor Baby Bridget's legacy every day with the work that we do.
That is such a cool story. I had no idea that's how it started. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it
That's
is.
amazing. Now, is the founder still involved too with the organization?
The founder has retired, but she is still very involved with the organization.
Okay. And how many families has Caring Bridge helped?
Oh my goodness. To date, we have more than 800,000 sites, and these websites have received more than 2.1 billion visits with 30 plus million visitors annually.
Wow, that is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I know a Caring Bridge website is created every 8 minutes, and 1 in 11 people in the U.S. have used Caring Bridge either as an author or a visitor in the past year.
Wow. And so what kind of health conditions does Caring Bridge provide free sites for? I know obviously we encourage our women that battle cancer, but you don't have to have cancer, right? You can have, it's any health condition that qualifies for Caring Bridge. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct. Caring Bridge is for every health journey, acute to chronic and physical to invisible wounds of mental health. Caring Bridge is really for anyone experiencing any health issue and feeling they need the support of their family and friends. As you mentioned, Kim, this includes cancer, but it also includes stroke, dementia, transplant, pediatrics. It could be diabetes, complications with a pregnancy or a birth. You also probably want to know, and your audience will, that over 64% of sites are created by family caregivers, with 36% of sites being created by someone experiencing a health situation or crisis. So it's just really natural for a family caregiver to turn to Caring Bridge to help them manage all the chaos that might be going on with the health condition of a loved one.
Wow. And so what are some of the organizations then that Caring Bridge actually partners with?
Absolutely. We value the support of healthcare organizations in referring Caring Bridge to their patients. And we know this is an important source of site starts for us. We have higher site starts with hospital outreach than we do in other forms. So, and you think about it, if you're hearing about Caring Bridge from a nurse or a social worker or your doctor, somebody that you totally trust, you're going to check Caring Bridge out and see if it's something that you should start. The hospitals that we work with, we work with thousands of hospitals around the country, but Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, we just started a relationship with the Department of Veterans Affairs, Dana-Farber, and many, many others. And then we also partner with organizations like yourselves, nonprofits, American Cancer Society, American Stroke Association, Dementia Action Alliance. Really, we're all working together to champion each other's efforts, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is help ease the burdens of families.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I was surprised, which is why I try and pass your word along to so many. My first question is to a lot of our women after they're in the midst of their makeover is, have you ever heard of Caring Bridge, or do you have that? And some of them do have sites, and some of them had not ever heard of it. And it really does help them to know about it. And then, once we kind of introduce that to them, we let them go to the website and kind of check it out for themselves. But I think it's that just to even educate people, to let them know, look, this exists, and it doesn't cost anything, right? What does it? How is the site paid for, and how are the services paid for?
Well, yes, excellent question. So it doesn't cost a thing. The sites are free, and the services are paid by our donors. So 90% of our funding comes from the people who have used Caring Bridge, and the average donation is $65, which is incredible, and 10% from in-kind donations or other revenue sources through grants. So obviously the people that are using Caring Bridge truly value it and want to pay forward for another family that can use its services.
And we were talking about like the different conditions that can actually be a part of Caring Bridge. Do you notice? Is there more cancer than